Welcome again to another episode of Landa Talks, where we bring experts a little bit ahead of the journey to share a bit about their consulting careers, tips, tricks of the trade, a little bit of what's worked, what hasn't. We have an amazing guest who's also part of Landa. So I wanted to give a warm welcome to Antoine. And maybe as a quick just intro, would you mind telling us a little bit about your career, your background?
Yes, of course. So thanks. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me on these talks. It's an honor, honestly, to be able to talk about my journey and in the consultancy world. So a little bit of me, of my background. I've been working in finance for now 21 years, roughly. 15 years in the corporate world, and now 6 years in the entrepreneur world, and co-founding a company. And now I've been working for now 10 months on my personal consultancy brand. Okay. Always in finance. And what else can I say? So I'm French. I guess everybody understood that. And the transition to this consultancy journey has been really smooth and natural. So we'll talk about it later, but it is very important because it has been easy for me to go through this path as well. So something to say, honestly.
Amazing. I guess we can dive into that one. So how did you get into this journey, right? And our first question is always, how did you land that first client? What was the big aha moment in the start?
Well, it's pretty funny because, as I said, it has been very easy. So it has been smooth, not easy, because easy would have been with no effort, but which is not true. It has been smooth because, so again, as I said, I worked for 15 years in the corporate world, and looking for something that I thought it was. I mean, I was really looking for, which was going higher and higher at higher levels and higher complexity in big corporates, international companies. And every time I was climbing a step, I was going further in my career in this world, less I was happy. was always really it was not fun because I changed a lot. I mean, not a lot. Maybe I've worked for 4 companies, roughly. Yes. And I was really looking for this happiness, but it was because my culture, my education was, I mean, was really focusing on this. I mean, you study. I'm an engineer. No, you study for to work in this world. Nobody really prepares you to be an entrepreneur that such, and less 20 years ago. So my education was really focusing on working in the corporate world and having the biggest role ever in finance, no CFO, right? But each time I was closer to this role and less I was happier, as I said. So I and I really don't like this. Something I don't like, the political well, I mean the political cultural thing in this world. It's can be pretty tough, and it's something that I don't like, honestly. I can be very political, but not to bring my own to my own benefits. I really don't like that. Okay, so it's maybe my human side, but so when they looked for me here in Mexico in a SME to be the CEO of a group of several companies, but SMEs, I said yes directly. I haven't thought about it. I said yes. So, and at the very same time, I met again with an old friend, and we decided to co-found a firm, a legal and financial, but several verticals, but basically those two principles. So, and I started in this consultancy world because we were having some customers that were interested in having some more insights in the finance part. So I started right away on that path, and it was in 2019. And only last year, 10 months ago, I decided to start my own experience. Only, I mean, really on the consultancy part. So I started with one customer. I had this one customer that I was having from the past. So I said, so let's replicate this model. So first of all, I had a model already. So that's why I said it was smooth, because I mean, it was all logical to me. It was really not hard to take the decision and say, okay, I quit this, I quit my co-founding company, and I started already on my own company. What I wanted is to be really my own boss and take my own decision at the end. You know that companies can be tough, and having partners can be tough as well. So I mean, you need to know yourself, and I wanted to take my own decision always. No, so that's why the path was also logical on that side. So I had this customer, but how did I land? My really real first customer was. So I checked. I really didn't know how to do it, honestly. I haven't had this. I was not in the community in Landa. I would have liked to be at the very beginning, but because the tips that you're giving, guys, are really great on that side. So, but what I've done is I took my phone through I've just ran my contact list and go ahead and try to call guys. But what I didn't do is I was not selling my product. I was pitching my consultancy brand instead of really selling at the very beginning, because you start with your with your contacts, no, maybe some friends, maybe some past companies that you worked with, past CEOs and so on. And what I wanted to do is to pitch them to have this first feedback. So I thought, even if they don't if they're not really interested in my services, what I can have at least is some feedbacks from them, if I'm on the right path or not, if they could be interested or not. And really, at the very beginning, the first customers came in like this. He said, I mean, was one of my contact lists. I was pitching. I didn't thought that he would hire me and as a remote CFO, because it's what I'm selling, remote CFO, and not fractional CFO. I will explain why maybe. And but I'm selling these services, so I'm trying to be on the long run with my customers, so to have a retainer with them and so on. And yeah, it was the first one to accept. Honestly, within a week, he said, yes, I'm interested. Give me a proposal. I sent a proposal. The proposal hasn't changed in that as such. So for 10 months now, the proposal has been the same, roughly. So I've been lucky to start with already a services that I wanted to do. So I knew that would work. Would work. You never know that, but so yeah, that's how he trusted me. So maybe it was not at not at the highest price that I could sell my services, of course. No, so you need to do some starting fees, and it's still my customer. It's still my customer, and then really happy. But the funny thing is, it's the biggest customer that I have. I mean, a really large company. It's one of the big SMEs. So for millions and millions of dollars. So really interesting, really interesting. And I started the journey with them, and being more confident, then I could keep on selling now. So because you need those first customers, that you need to know that you're doing the right thing. You need to know how to sell it, and you need to know that you bring value, because you need to understand that the services you're giving is really the one that the customer is expecting, because also expectation is very important.
Makes a lot of sense, and a lot of points that probably resonate with a lot of us. One of the things that struck about your profile, Antoine, of course, is you're not also doing consulting, which is obviously your main path, but you're also mentoring in a lot of organizations, including pro bono stuff with
Yeah.
CCI France, with
Yeah.
Founders Institute. I guess that's relevant to a lot of folks here. So I would just like to ask, what do you think are the essential qualities of a mentor? That's the first part. And then the second one is, can you tell us about a situation in which your mentorship has made like a very significant difference in a founder? I'm curious to hear about that.
Well, Big change would be presumptuous, but I mean, the highest quality I think is to know how to listen, but not only just listen, and but I mean, over the years, what I've learned is how to question, how to ask. More than ask is question the person that you're really willing to help is important, because what I found is with all the talks I have at the end, mentoring or not mentoring, because also I have a lot of calls from from different communities asking me for some help. Uh, what I found really useful is the exchange, just the exchange. I mean, just the talk as such. I wouldn't say discussion, because discussion has another connotation in English, but in French it's positive. A great discussion is really positive in French. But so this talk is very important, and how to listen, how to question. Just, I mean, along my career, what I've learned as well is there's no silly question. You don't know, you can't know everything. So now we have great tools, but uh, uh, you don't know everything. That's a fact. So even as a finance guy, I have some questions about finance. It's normal. So I'm not ashamed to say to my customers or whoever I help, oh wait, I'm not a specialist in this one. Could you explain? Do you know? Or we can, no, I would be happy to sit with the specialist and understand, and so on and so on. And it's what I've been doing all my career. So always look for as well. I mean, the network is very important, and I'm really, it's my major focus here, and community is you need to know the right people with the right knowledge as well, and the people that you can reach out and say, I need your help. I need to understand this. I mean, now we have ChatGPT, but and AI, but honestly, nothing like the personal touch, now, of course. So so you need to know those people as well, and you, and one day you will be part of those as well. So it's what happened, no? So when you become a mentor, is that you are part of this network of people that can help you on, and it's not really the again what you know, it's your ability to solve, to understand, to really understand. I mean, I've been very lucky, honestly, to work on what I'm doing, because in terms of business sides, as finance, I've been working in, I don't know how much industries. Honestly, I've had a customer that asked me how many industries I've been working with. The list was very long, honestly. So in terms of business model, and in terms of, I mean, the ability to understand any of whatever is business model, it's very key, no? And that part. So, and how do I help funders? Honestly, asking the right questions, and giving some tips, and with the network, you can do everything you want. Honestly, so it's always that. Uh,
Makes sense.
I've seen a lot of startups and businesses growing. I guess it's the most uh, self satisfactory things to see. I don't know if I'm the cause, but I was happy to in somehow help. I don't have the how do you say that, the guts to say that I'm the reason why, but I was happy to be I mean, in during also in this path. Okay.
Sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. And then I wanted to transition a little bit more into finance, because that's obviously your specialty.
Yeah.
And one of the things that a lot of independent consultants struggle with, and we've heard this from, another Landa member, where she said the highs are very high, the lows are
Mhm.
very low, right? So what are some tips you'd recommend for consultants in the early stages, especially around just personal financial management?
Personal. So you're talking about so personal finance. Well, have a budget. Honestly, you need to understand where are your costs. I mean, as a personal side, no, it's not talking about the customer side, but you need to understand how much you will be able first to charge, but having a budget. So you need to really to calculate your worst scenario. Uh, Again, I've started 10 months ago with my personal brand. Had some capital, of course, some savings. No, I've calculated how much. So how much do I need exactly? So I've made a plan basically, and it would be my recommendation because you always need a plan. It doesn't mean that you will follow it as no later by later, but you need a plan. You need a plan and change it every day. Honestly, you need to adapt it. So I've been being able because you will fail on some stuffs and you will succeed and maybe over succeed on some others. So you need always to adjust this. So financially speaking, is having a budget, knowing your cost. It's very important, and honestly, it's not that easy knowing your cost because you say, "Oh no, I know roughly I'm spending this amount of money per month," but you know that there's a lot of spending that depends on the months. Once a year. You need to understand also when you start on the consultancy part and you're coming from corporate world or salary world is there's a lot of costs that you don't have when you are an employee. Okay, I always had, I mean, silly stuff. It's just examples, but always had cell phones, always have cars, always have insurance, no medical insurance as well, and so on and so on. So you had this. So don't forget all those costs that you normally, I mean, you don't have, no, and because your company is paying for it, and it's very convenient, no, of course. But so understand your cost base and adapt and have a plan. So how much should I have, no, as a savings or capital? If so, my by giving my example. So my example, I started as I said with one customer, and my target was to to have one customer per month with an average target. So as I said, my business model is a retainer business model. Okay. Really, so of course I had some peaks with projects, which is fine, which helped me of course as well to go for higher expectations. But basically that was my plan. So I said, okay, my target customer, here it is, one customer per month, this amount of money, and I really lowered my expectation. But so when I said lowered my expectation, because I said one customer per month, said, wow, it's not huge, no? If you only have one customer, you have 80% of your free, 90% of your free of time that is free to look for new customers, right? But it's not easy to close your first 10 customers, I would say. So or five customers, whatever it is, no? I mean, whatever your target is. But so one by one and calculate your budget. So I knew that I would be short. Following these paths, I knew that I would be short. So find some funding possibilities. So okay, so how much I need, and so on and so on and so on. So you need to be very clear on these paths and have a very clear target and be able to change it every month if needed. But once you set your expectation, I would say don't lower them. Do your best to go for it, and just, yeah. I mean, I know that in those talks we've talked about a lot about the how do you say? I don't remember the syndrome, imposter syndrome. No, so you really, I mean, it's something that I would maybe change at the very beginning is be bolder to sell at the very beginning. But well, you need to learn anyway, so you need to do it. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. A lot of very practical tips. Sometimes the most simple sounding tips are usually the best. People just look for very quick schemes to make money, and usually it's those kind of basic stuff that are just the real principles. And then just switching gears to, I guess, like finance more on the company side,
mhm.
because you've obviously already had a bunch of clients. One target per month, that's a lot. That's a very good target. What's the biggest financial mistake you've seen, startups make, and how can other entrepreneurs overcome it? I'm just curious to hear, like we've heard about on the B2C side, what our mistakes could be, but also on the company side, is there one common thread that you've seen across entrepreneurs that kind of could use this service?
Yes, I mean, a common mistake is really not. I mean, most of the startup I've seen, and most of founders I've talked to knows that finance is important. Okay, so first thing is good thing. I would say they know that they have to do something. A mistake, not doing right, yes, okay, can understand, but looking for help, so that's fine. But the biggest mistake is really relying on the funding. Sorry, the funding capital. Uh, be too much confident on on their business and really be confident on they're going to fundraise what they are expecting to. So first thing, this is a mistake, a common mistake that I've seen. So no, I'm not worried. So they know maybe roughly the cash burn and they know that in 6 months. So their plan is in 6 months I'm going to raise another round of capitals and so on and so on. And most of the time, I mean, I've never seen it on time. On uh, all the schedules that I've seen with my customers, at least going into details, never reached the target in terms of date for fundraising. So, okay, I'm going to fundraise within, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatsoever. Never reached this target. So, always being late for several months. So, first thing, so not having enough cash to handle this. It's a very big problem. But mostly the origin of it is okay. So being too much of optimistic, but the optimism is very important as well when you start a company like this. So I would say that this could be good and could be bad because you really need to be optimistic to start a startup, honestly, and you can't be very too much optimistic on the financial part. You have to be
Makes
really
sense.
pessimistic and knowing that uh, it's one of those dilemma that you can have because optimism is logical when you are an entrepreneur. You know that you're going. I mean, you're confident that you are going to sell your services. You're going to start your company. You're going to sell your products, and so on and so on. So the optimism is logical in terms of sales. But when it goes to and normally those same funders are doing their plan, their business model, their business plan, the financial part, and trying to plan that and they're planning and logically they're planning with the same optimism, and doesn't work. Doesn't work this way. You need to be really pessimistic on the financial part because what I've seen is even what you think realistic, no, a plan is already optimistic. That's my point. So not
Makes
knowing,
a lot
of
of
course,
sense.
your leverage. I mean, you need to understand what moves your business, and you'll be very surprised how many companies doesn't know really their leverage. So where are the indicators that needs to be moved, changed, the unit economics that really change or move the business forward and growth? Um, you need to understand that. It's key.
Makes a lot of sense. Thanks for that. And I just guess we're actually reaching the end of these Q&A, these between me and you, and we can open it up after for questions. But
Yep.
if you were to start your journey again, what are some, I guess, like key aspects that you wish you knew in advance? Anything that you would do differently? I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, that's a tough question, honestly, because I mean, I would say that all the mistakes are essential to growth. So I've done some mistakes for sure, but if you tell me what would you change, I would say no. I would do the same mistake again because I want to fail to understand what I need to do to grow. Because I mean, you need to do it. You need to fail, really. You need to do some those mistakes. The only thing that I would change maybe is I would have worked maybe more on the self confident part. Um, Knowing that, I mean, I knew that, but it's always the same. I mean, I mean, working with several partners before being alone, and the selling part. I mean, I've never sold service. I was never never sold services as such. Okay, always have a partner doing the selling part, or no, or salesmen and so on. So this key aspect, this key, how do you say, skill, I had to. It's a key skill that I had to develop myself. So selling, and that's why I'm saying about the self confidence. So the confidence that you're bringing value to the customer. So you know it, but it's always the same. So you know that you're bringing value. Okay. So if not, you wouldn't do this. I mean, you have to be silly and selling some services or product that you know that nobody wants. No. Okay. So you know that you have a market. Okay. And but really be confident that what you're selling, and if you have proven this, then be bolder on selling. Really, I mean, you're going anyway to annoy some people, because they always someone telling you, I know, I don't want to be annoyed or bothered by you're selling peach, or anyway, or someone. I mean, bad people with bad advice, there's a lot. Okay, always. So what I've would have been doing is just remove this the guilty part of annoying people. Really, you don't. I mean, honestly, what I've learned is you don't. If they don't want to talk to you, they will not anyway. So just remove this guilt of, no, I'm going to annoy this. I can't call this friend because he's going to saying that I'm asking his a favor. All those stuffs. Honestly, it took sometimes at the very beginning for me. It took me sometimes to remove this guilt, this inside guilt of, I'm going to annoy him. I don't want to. He's a good contact. Is, I don't know. Honestly, don't bother. Go for it. Go for it and go for it. It doesn't really matter. The people, if the person doesn't want to help you, if the person doesn't want to speak to you, if the person just want to, whatever, is going to do it anyway. So go for it. It would be the only thing that I would have changed. Maybe I would have been faster in selling, but again, it has been a great journey to learn how to sell, how to go, how to, remove this guilt, and so on, so on, and so on. So those mistakes help me out as well today. So what I'm doing, the way I'm doing it today, is because I've did some those mistakes at the very beginning as well. So I had to learn. So again, I would do it maybe the same way. No.
Makes a lot of sense, and I love how you wrap that up for the final part of this Q&A. I'd love to end with, I guess, a couple last questions, like quick questions, just for
Yeah.
to audience to get to know you a little bit better. The
Yeah.
first one would be, what has been one habit that you practice daily that has changed your life for the better,
Daily.
or just a habit?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, sport, honestly, but we started with aims, because it's really important. Maybe not to do just some exercise, but exercises. I mean, physical exercise is very important anyway for your health, for everything, and it helps in a lot of aspects. Not only health, but also in the mindset. I mean, I love competition, but so I'm not doing sport. So I started sports with competition because I like this, but the way I replace it, because it's always hard to say, oh, I'm going to compete on this one and this one and this one, is to replace it with clear targets. Oh, I want to reach this time, this, whatever, and so on and so on. So sports is one of it. What else? Great habits. Honestly, talking about guilt and being guilt. So and being guilty is, I've worked, starting from my education, but I've worked a lot on removing the guilt of enjoying my free time, and it has changed a lot. I mean, it's not an habit. Again, it's not something that I'm doing every day, but every day when I have a free time, if I do and really don't have anything to do, so I just try to feel, to remove the guilt of, I'm taking this free time, I'm not working on anything, I'm just enjoying the time with, I don't know, your family, you doing a sport, whatever you want to do, but remove these as well. But it's more on a cultural and educational part. So
Makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah,
I guess the second one that I had is, what's your favorite book? What's the book you've enjoyed the most? The one that has, had a significant impact in your professional journey? The one you maybe have gifted the most? Just you need to pick one. I'm curious to hear your
educational
thoughts.
book, because I don't read
What,
much educational book.
whatever book that has impacted you personally the most, or the one that you give the most, the one your favorite book in general.
Okay, so no impact at all, but I love literature. So I read a lot of book, not profit, not educational book. I do sometimes, and there are some great books that I can recommend, but I won't do it. But one book that I loved, it's a trilogy, is the Millennium Trilogy. I don't know if you know it, about with by Stieg Larsson. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's a great trilogy book. Three books, amazing. They've done a movie about it, The Dragon Girl, something like this. I don't recall the titles, but this trilogy is amazing.
I haven't read it. I'll type it down.
Read it,
Thanks.
read it. Honestly, Millennium, and it's a
Amazing. And
trilogy. Is Stieg Larsson.
I'll type it down right now.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, if you had to give one last tip of advice to anybody looking to start consulting independently, what would that be? Just one.
Stop thinking about it. Just do it. It's, really. I mean,
That, that's
another way
great.
to say it at the end, because it sounds like a big brand, but yes, stop thinking about it. Try
Should
it.
be a slogan.
Tell it. I
Thank-
mean, land your first customer. You have to have your first customer. The journey starts with your first customer. Really, not before. I mean, planning and so on and so on. Well, it's nice. Can have the idea and plan and budget and do your niche and so on. But the real business and the journey starts for any company with your first customer.
Makes a lot of sense. Great way to end it. And then I guess we can move on to the Q&A. I don't know if anybody from the audience wants to jump in first.
Aquí está Nicolas.
Oh, Nico.
Antoine, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. And it has a lot to do, or it's very similar to, so we work in finance. That's what I'm trying to say. So I was very interested in what you had to say. So thank you again. And I was just wondering, along these lines, throughout your journey, what things were not working, and in terms of either your service offering or in terms of your niche, did you find yourself in those moments where you realized you had to pivot or you had to change something, and where did you head it? What was the change there? I'm curious to know a little bit more about that journey.
Yeah. Okay. It was more a fear that I had then I had to. I mean, luckily I had, and then I have to pivot or change as such. But I had a big fear when I started the journey. So let me explain. So again, so I'm selling remote CFO. Okay, so I'm trying to be the CFO for SMEs. Okay, so my real core market is SMEs, Mexico, and my biggest fear was. But well, and I've got a second one, but was after sometimes. So I'm setting on a long journey now. So I'm trying to be the CFO of the company and stay, of course. So not only 2-3 months, but for the rest of the life. No, hopefully no, but really on a long journey. No, I'm trying to be the CFO for a long run. And my biggest fear was, okay, so once I'm getting in. So normally I do a diagnostic. So I have a whole process and so on. So I do a diagnostic. I do some implementations. First one, so very quickly. So what I'm trying to do is, so I do also have some values. Is I'm trying to give value I'm giving all the very first day. If I can give you, I mean, for my customers, if I can give it at the very first day, I'm doing it, and the second day, and so on and so on and so on. I've discovered something, and is what that's why I'm saying that was my fear. So after several months, 2-3 months, you implemented everything. You gave everything to your customer. Let's say you coach their team, their finance team. They can do it by themselves. So then what's next? I'm going to tell me, okay, so that was nice. Thank you very much. Now we're on track. I mean, how I have my finance department up and going. I have the visibility that I was looking for. So I was thinking that maybe after 3-4 months, the customer would say, okay, so thanks, Antoine. That was a great journey. Thanks you very much. I will recommend you, and bye-bye. That was my biggest fear. So to have to be able, I mean, to have it's not a short cycle, but 3-4 months for me is short when you want to really have a long run services. And it hasn't been that way. So that's why that it was a fear, but luckily it hasn't been that way. So giving everything every single day, the relationship evolved. So first, yes, it was diagnostic in finance, then implementation, then visibility and so on. But then it evolves to a strategic relationship where the CEO, the founder, whoever, I mean, you work with in the organization, keep on looking for my services, also keep on asking for my services, but changing the relationship in a strategic way. So a lot of customers have changed the way we've changed the way we work together, because now we have finance, we have the visibility. So now let's work on the strategic part. So it was a fear. It hasn't happened, but again, I guess it's maybe an advice, or it would be an advice. Give everything that you have. Value your knowledge. You value your. It won't. It won't end up. I mean, it's not something that is just a moment, or no. I'm giving no. A customer is asking you for a business case, for instance. No, I'm doing a business case, giving to him. Okay, but you're giving value, but you have much more to give, is what I'm saying. So it does not end with time. You always have value to give to your customers. Always, always, always. So give everything. The more satisfied your customer is, the more it's going to stay. And we, I mean, of course, the relationship will change, the services will change, but it's going to stay. And you're going to be happy, of course, you know. So with this.
Amazing. You wanna go, Eric?
Great. So on that point that you said,
Yes.
is like at the end of the day, you want to leave them satisfied. But what
Yes.
if the thing that satisfy them is, and you see it based on your own good judgment and experience, is actually not in their best interests? So like, let's say you do, like, they're very much like, well, without giving too many details of a situation that I'm facing, but it's like where the client wants and is very adamant about this business model. My gut and the way that we're building out the model doesn't really paint a good picture, or I don't have any confidence that they'll be able to actually reach it. And so you actually have to push back, and that pushback may lead to them being like, well, let me find someone else that'll give me the answer that I want, right? So how do you balance that like, you know, being an advisor and being an independent, like, you know, being independent in your judgment versus keeping them happy?
No, honestly, give the advice that really you have to. I mean, being honest and our world in the finance part is crucial. What you don't want is going on their sense, because I mean, I've done these mistakes, but on the corporate world. Okay. Now I'm a consultant. I will never do it. I will always be honest and saying, look, it's not the right path. You're not going to reach this target whatsoever. This is not right. I wouldn't do it. I mean, at the end, what I'm always telling my customer is, first of all, you take the decision. I'm not taking the decision. I'm giving you my advice. My advice is this one. You don't like it, I'm sorry, honestly. This is a relationship. So if you don't like my advice, you're free to go and look for another advisor. I mean, it's right. I mean, it doesn't really matter, no? But be consistent. So again, I've done it in the corporate world, going the way that whoever CEO partners, wanting me to go, and knowing that I was right. I mean, I expressed myself. It's right. It's wrong. Sorry, knowing that it was wrong or the wrong path. You see that you are right, but it doesn't really matter. You really have to be consistent with yourself and not let this happen. I mean, again, it's your customer is your most valuable. How do you say that? I mean, those are the most valuable relationships. So professionally wise. So be consistent with yourself and be honest. That's it. I don't have any other advice. Honestly, it never goes in that sense if it doesn't work, because at the end it can go the wrong way against you. I mean, I said no, I kept it happy and so on. I had a customer. I've been paid for that. So okay. So you see the right side short term. Let's say the benefits on the short term, but maybe long term it can be a wrong approach, because I mean, at the end, if the customers see that it was wrong and is going to tell you, but you send me no. Okay.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, it goes to the other point that you mentioned earlier. It's like, since I'm just getting started, part of it is like getting that confidence to do that pushback. Because you're right. Like when I was working for someone else, I would swallow the pill and be like,
yes,
well, I don't. That's right. And it's like, I don't agree, but whatever. Like, but now that's
at the end you're taking the decision. No? But it's the same. At the end is what you're saying to the customer. I mean, you have to say to the customer, at the end you're taking the decision. It has to be clear. It has to be very clear. Because be careful with the relationship where when they look for this consultancy part, they have the advisor, and really, I mean, it happens where the advisor is like a god. So whatever he's saying is right, and I'm going that sense. It happens. Okay. So be careful with that. Always remind them that they are the ones that are taking the decision. They're the ones that they're just taking advice from you. Okay. Be part of the team, but you have to keep the distance in those decision making.
Thanks to both. Any other questions? We're reaching towards the end.
Yeah, no. But Eric, I'm sure you had another point, no? Another question.
No. I mean, the follow-up there was more of like doing the pushback in a moment where you're trying to leverage your customer as a way to kind of gain that confidence, right? And so, you don't want to second guess yourself in those moments either, right? So it's like pushing back with having in mind of like, well, this is what I'm getting paid for on the independent side, but then also having the courage to actually do that pushback. And so, and especially when I'm noticing it now as I'm starting out, that it's like, like the courage needed to do it as independent is even more, because the stakes are a bit higher in the sense that it's like, well, if he doesn't like what I have to say, it terminates the relationship, right? So it's also about finding a way to say it in a way that's empathic to the situation of the client itself as well.
No, it's a great reflection. I mean, it's a great thought and question. At the end, again, so what I said at the very beginning, you need to be consistent with yourself and honest. It's the only. I mean, again, as a consultant, and I mean, you're selling yourself. Your way of thinking, your way of it's you. It's you. It's your value. It's what you can give to your customers. It's the most important thing. That's why you need to be consistent. It's not for the stuff that, again, it's at the very beginning, and I said about my target, one customer per month. I was afraid, I was terrified to lose customers, and at the very beginning, because I said, okay, so I have to start over and over and over again. So how is my understand your cycle of selling? Then you need all these cycles need to be understood, of course, but you need to do it to understand. But I mean, the most important part is your values as a person, as an advisor. I guess again, it's your brand, your person that you're selling. That's why it's so much important. I mean, you cannot balance this against keeping or not a customer, because it's the base of your services. It's really, I mean, it's the foundation of your services. Okay, so that's why you cannot change, regardless the customer being happy or not. It's who you are, is what you're giving. So some customer will see the value, some others don't. Honestly, it's right. I mean, I've been struggling to some people. I mean, here in Mexico, talking about the market, more than 80% of the SMEs here in Mexico doesn't have any finance control. No, neither management, nothing. So how to explain to a CEO that he needs finance when he doesn't really see the value of it? Okay, think about it.
Yeah. I have a separate follow-up question.
Yeah.
So because you were talking about that you have the target, or you had the target, I don't know if you still have it, of having one new client a month. At some point, you cap out on being the main person who delivers the services. As you think about, and one advice of talking to other consultants is, like, at some point, like, you become the person who does pipeline, and then you have other people who are doing the execution for you. Have you gotten to that point? And like, how do you know, like that point of crossing? And it's like, okay, like you've now crossed the point of being the individual contributor for this project, and now you've siphoned it off so that it becomes a much bigger business, and that's not capped out based on your own capacity.
It's really depends on what you want. It's something that I've been, so when I started my own brand, so I've built the brand. So there's a brand, there is a name, there is a website, and so on and so on. So always keep in mind that, I always kept in mind that maybe one day I will replicate the model. So that was the approach I had. But going through the past, every day, it's recurring questions I have every single week, I guess. Would I go further, bigger, or would I want to stay by myself? With, I have some how to say, back office sometimes, two times when I need. When it's needed, I mean, then I don't know, maybe an accountant and maybe a hand to populate some stuff. But my model is, I've been thinking on my model really, so I don't have to really do the back office as such. I always work with company with their own back office, which is very important to me. So I'm giving them the work. So it's a way also that the way you work, no? So first thing, so I don't have much back office. I don't need much. But yes, today I'm starting to have, so this month, first month that I'm capped fully. I mean, but because I had some projects, additional projects. So normally, so I have my recurring customers, and I'm starting to be at a point that where I have the right numbers of customers, okay, and still have some bandwidth for projects. So of course you have to have a great agenda, no? Knowing also, because you're doing everything. You're doing your administration, you're doing your financials, you're doing your invoicing. If you don't, I mean, you can. I mean, no, you're doing content in LinkedIn. You're doing a lot of stuff. So you need to know exactly how much time you need to dedicate, or you're dedicating, as to every each of those tasks. But it's, yeah. I mean, to go back on your question is, I don't know if I'm going bigger or not. I mean, I'm at that point. It's something that I would like to, as a mentor, as a coach as well. I really would like to train new CFOs. This is something I would like to do, but I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I don't know if I want to go over this path again. I've done it. I had employees, I had firm and a structure. I don't know if I want to go back on this path again. Honestly, this is why it's back and forth. I mean, you have advantages and disadvantages in both ways. Being bigger, yes, why not? But it goes with also with bigger responsibilities. And at what price? To be further discussed, if you want. I mean, we can take this offline, but
Yeah, it might ping you.
I mean, it's
Yeah, I
always the same
appreciate
question
that.
I have, and yeah, every time I have a discussion, I have a talk with someone in maybe in the same path in the consultancy world. I mean, it's a recurrent question that I receive, and it's a recurrent question that I answering a different way every time. So. So maybe if we speak together again, it will be a different. It would be a different salt. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's a question a lot of us get when talking to other folks in the industry or like in the same kind of line of work. And then they always want to inject their advice, and the advice is always you got to think bigger, you got to scale, and if you want to scale, you got to scale your model and all that. And so then obviously, since I'm just starting out, I'm like, okay, well, I first need to get like first base level clients, and then
get your customers. You will see.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
that'll be
I always see several types of advice as well, from firms, from independents. But I had, if I can tell you, I mean, from great guys, great guys that have done the same, that have worked on the same path, let's say, or the same, same path. Most, I mean, I'm talking about older guys with higher experience. The advice has been recurrently keep it on your on your solo, how do you say that, keep it on your own, don't grow, keep it on doing yourself, just I mean keep the grasp, I would say, on your business, and don't grow much. I mean, keep it independent is the best way. A lot of older guys telling me this, because I mean, nobody can give you this freedom of being alone.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I mean, talk about enjoying life, as well. I mean, you need to balance your life as well. So, talk about responsibilities. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Amazing. So we're actually at the end. I wanted to thank you, Antoine. This is a great conversation. A lot of very good nuggets that I hope many of our attendees enjoyed. Also, as I mentioned, Antoine is in our Slack. So if you have any other follow-up questions, please reach out to him. He's pretty open. He's very pro community. So I'm sure you'll hear back. Amazing. Well, thanks everybody for joining.